I'm Insomniac, and this is Starbucks Anniversary Blend 2017. Alright, well this says Starbucks Anniversary Blend Spicy and Bold 2017. I'm not actually sure if Spicy and Bold is part of the name. Guess I don't really care much either. Let's take a look at the packaging. It's actually a pretty cool looking bag. I like that. I mean, the bag has nothing to do with whether or not the coffee is going to be any good, but some nice attention to detail.
And it's art.
It says Starbucks Anniversary Blend. To convey our love of coffee in a singular blend, we started with lush, full-bodied coffees from Indonesia and Papua New Guinea. The addition of our iconic Sumatra, aged carefully for up to 5 years, creates distinctive spice notes that transformed this bold blend into an unforgettable fall tradition. Not sure how it could be a tradition yet if it's the 2017 version, but
that's a good point.
I think I'm reading too far into that. Tasting notes: spicy and bold, complex and full-bodied, with distinctive spicy flavor that's amazingly bold. They really like the words spicy and bold.
Bold and spicy.
And this one, I'll tell you, they just throw it all over the bag. Oh, this is a whole bean coffee. There you go, beans. Lots and lots of these beans aren't whole beans. They're like pieces of it kind of looks like somebody beat the shit out of this bag of coffee before I got it. And maybe they did. I don't know what happened before this hit the counter. Anyway, well, the aromas are definitely interesting. One cool thing is that you do get some of the spice they're talking about right there in the aroma. You kind of get a little bit of a like cayenne pepper tingle when you take a sniff right out of the bag. And the next aroma reminds me of spicy smoked sausage.
Now you see our sausages. We got them hanging.
Can't say I've ever smelled that in a bag of coffee before. Next up is chocolatey oats. Kind of has like a nice chocolatey oatmeal or even chocolatey oatmeal cookie type of scent. And then fresh new leather. Kind of reminds me of like a thick new leather, like shoes or something like that. Definitely a good strong bit of aromas coming out of the bag though. Let's grind some of this up, brew it up, and see what it smells and tastes like in liquid form. Alright, so we brewed up some of this Starbucks Anniversary Blend 2017. I figured it would be appropriate to have it in a Starbucks mug. There's my New York edition. There you go. Aroma-wise, a lot more chocolate comes through after you brew it than does from the bag. You had a little bit of that chocolatey oats I was describing earlier when I was getting the aromas out of the bag, but now what you have is a kind of nice, just a nice, rich, semi-sweet chocolate. There's a little bit of hazelnut, and then a warm white bread flavor, and you get a kind of warm chocolatey, it's either like melted chocolate or like a chocolate spread that you would put on the bread. Man, talk about fat kid dreams. But that's what I'm smelling, like a nice kind of chocolatey warm bread. Like I said, a little bit of hazelnut. There's also a tiny pine aroma in there. Kind of has like a nice fresh bright piney scent, very faint though compared to the other aromas. Then there's a really small kind of spicy tingle. You do still have a little bit of the spice like I was getting from the aromas out of the bag. It kind of gives you a little bit of tingle as if you cooked something with red pepper flakes. And I'm not smelling any type of specific type of spice. That's just kind of a sensation that I get. Well, we'll see what it tastes like. Ah, that classic Starbucks bitterness that we've all come to know and love. Or maybe not. Alright, in all fairness, it's not that bad. It's not as bad as, say, their house roasts, which are pretty much always bitter.
And that's the double truth, Ruth.
And I'm not a Starbucks hater, hence why I'm holding a Starbucks mug. I do go there quite often, but you gotta be fair, a lot of their coffee is pretty damn bitter. This isn't as bad as that. In fact, this is black, of course, because I'm reviewing it, and it's generally how I drink my coffee personally, but if you're one of those people that puts cream or sugar or some other type of stuff in your coffee, I don't even think there's really enough bitterness that it wouldn't be easily masked. Now here in the flavor department is where you get most of the spice they're talking about. They don't tell you what kind of spices they're talking about, but They say spicy and bold repeatedly, and the flavors definitely are. And you get a really interesting mix of spices. I have like raw unsweet cinnamon, nutmeg.
You want the nutmeg today?
Then there's also a bit of white pepper. You have what kind of reminds me of oregano in there. Then you also get a dry, leafy taste, and that's actually pretty prominent in there. It's definitely not the top of the flavors, but you do get some dry leafiness in there. And other than a very slight bitter dark chocolate that you get at the very tail end of the sip, there are no chocolate flavors in this coffee, so it's not necessarily what I was expecting, but I was kind of hoping for it a little bit based on the aromas I was getting. The finish of this coffee is definitely thick, it's definitely bold, it has a long finish, and what I mean by that, of course, is that almost all of the flavors that I described, they really do stick with you well into the next sip. So it kind of coats the palate with those flavors. You do also get a little bit of bitterness, but that luckily tapers off long before the rest of the finish and kind of just leaves those other flavors there. So again, like I said, definitely some bitterness in the initial sip, definitely some bitterness in the finish, but definitely manageable enough that I could definitely drink this whole cup of coffee black and I wouldn't be over here making faces. It's really pretty good. And in keeping with what the bag tries to beat into your head repeatedly before you even drink it, which is the spicy and bold, you do get a decent lingering spice and definitely a bold feel out of this coffee even in the finish, so you definitely do get some of that. If I were going to rate this Starbucks Anniversary Blend 2017 on a scale from 1 to 10 Mike Tysons, I would actually give it an 8. Now to be honest, because that's the only way I do things here, I don't exactly love this flavor profile. It's definitely not one of my favorite coffees that I've had recently, but it's very rich, it's very bold. Even though I made the joke about the bitterness, which is definitely there, it's not too bitter. And some bitterness is to be expected with some profiles. Now, you do get a good amount of complexity and a lot of flavor, great aromas. So in terms of what this brew is supposed to give you and what Starbucks is marketing that this brew is all about, it really does hold to that, and that's why it got a pretty good rating in my book. Now, price-wise, it's not out of control. I think this bag was $14 or $14.99.
$14.
I'm sure you could probably find it cheaper somewhere else. I bought it at a Starbucks, so of course I paid the premium.
I never spent $14 in my life unless it was an Asian prostitute.
If you've already had it, leave a comment. Tell me about your experience with it. If you want to support this channel and what I do here and you want to see a lot more of this, or you just want a bunch of rewards and it's not all about just supporting the channel, I happen to have just the thing. Check out the link at the top of the video description. Look at my Patreon page. I have a lot of exclusive rewards, including exclusive access to a lot of videos that you're not even seeing pop up on my channel, exclusive full cigar reviews, watch reviews, Cigar War episodes, and Shooting the Shit episodes, plus exclusive access to my giveaways, and a whole lot more. Like I said, check out the Patreon page right there at the top of the video description. Also, next time you're on Instagram, follow Cocktails Chat and Just Another Dumbass Civilian. I will probably have their handles right there down below. Check them out, give them a follow, and see you at the next one.